two video tapes, one for the student, one for the instructor or somebody that over level A, and you can purchase these. For people that do not come to the seminar, the return students, they will pay $125 for one tape, and for this two hours tape, is it, Sunny?
Yes.
2 hour tape. For you, because we might be around, I have to leave here at 4 o'clock sharp because my plane is at 6, and you can stay here, do some revision until 4:30. For you, it's $75, right? And also, we want to warn you that we do not want this tape to be copied and distributed. And if you found to be copying the tape, then you might have to deal with your own instructor. So to cut see with the tape, we have the whole system in there. It's a very good reference, but you can't learn from the tape. You can use it as a reference. So the best thing is you get the tape and then you still go to the classes, and then you would get a lot of benefits out of it. So to start off, I want to put the self-protection system, the technique into the tape. So I will demonstrate this the technique. Okay. Now for a stick attack, right? So if you just block here, it's still coming into you. So you have to block. You have to block here, and the toughest part of your body is your palm. So you use the palm, right? And then you can take this off. Right? Do it slow, right? Here, right? You stop, and then you steady. You don't need to hold on the palm. You just steady here, and in here there's a pressure point in here. So you rip this off. You rip this off, right? Straight from here. So you rip this off, and then you can use, right? So one more time, right? Right? Okay. So it's very, very simple technique, right? And for backhand swing, similarly, you got to stop. You got to make sure this. If you stop here, this still will come onto you. So you got to make sure. Right? So you use the arm lock here. So your arm lock, you must have your body, your shoulder over, and the straight arm is that go strong movement on your arm. So even though you pull this one up, you're still using straight arm. You pull it with your shoulder. You only need. So you pin this person down here. All right, just over the elbow. Right? So I do it once more. Slow, right? Right? Then, right? So arm lock. Okay. Now, when you deal with somebody with a weapon, don't put your arm out there because he's going to attack my arm, and then I'm going to pull my arm away and going to expose it. The best thing is to keep your arm on the side so you expose the target, so he can attack target, the main target. Then you can defend it. Right? So once more. Right? Okay. So an overhead attack, right? So you can use the same technique that I just showed you, or you can use a different one. But so from here, you're just using the same technique, right? So you just block, right? You just block, right? Like that. Use your palm, right? Then you just take this across. Okay. They are low swing, right? Same thing. You've got to stop it, right? So you got from here low swing. So when this stick is low, you're going to take it across, right? So contact, take it up over your head, and take it across, right? Then if you want to get him down, you can trip this, or you can just pin him down here, all right? So on the other side, similarly, right? Face the point of contact, and the arm lock is a very useful movement, right? So I just run through this. You won't be practicing this because we're going to go into the 5 stages of comeback, and I just run through this self-defense technique. That will be the 10. Okay? So the next one I'm going to show you about how to disarm a knife. See, with somebody with a sharp weapon, you've got to be very careful, right? Because you cannot block the weapon, right? So if you cannot take your shoes off using it as a block, then you have to do it with your arm, with your bare hand. Then you would use this technique. But if you can, just take your shoes off, then you can use that as a block. That would be much better way of dealing with a weapon, right? So you can have a straight thrust, right? So same thing with a knife, that you don't put your arm in front to defend, then they can cut your arm. So you put your arm on the side. So a thrust, right? And then you keep as much distance as possible from, so you can hit this person, right? I show you, we do it slowly, right? So if you are here, and you're too close to the person, and he can roll out, or he can switch. So you've got to keep, see that? Keep this distance. So a thrust comes in, you push it away, your body is no longer behind this, right? If you, right, your body is behind it, and it's pushing you off balance. It's very hard for you to do anything. So what you do is, right, then you see that you drag this, so he can't do very much from here, okay? A backhand slash, right? So see how I use my arm. Always straight arm when you block, because that is the strongest move, right? You think about energy that goes out, okay? So straight arm. This arm lock is very useful, but now if I do it slowly, there's something there, right? I'm going to cut myself. So I'm going to pull this, and also I'm going to pull him slightly off balance, so I can control. See that? I can control there, and also he can't swap. He can't steal this from you. If you are very close,
Get his knee through.
and he can still,
You can see what his knee is doing.
you're in trouble. Right? So you've got to keep him off balance. Right? Okay? And overhead. See, that's another way of using a knife. They hold it. Usually they hold it like this, and they, yeah. So there's certain stage that you have to either stop the movement, or you have to dislodge it in a certain way. So if this arm comes down before it extended, right? And then we will do one movement to counter. If the arm is already extended, then you will have to do another one, right? So from here, right? Then you lock it here, then you take. Right? So you go from here Then your foot is here. Then you put him on balance. Right? Right? Put him on balance. Right? Okay? But if his arm is extended here, then you do this one. Right? So you do this one. Over here, there's a pressure point here. Then if you do that, you use your arm. Then you will drop whatever you got. You will drop that because that pressure point just over the elbow is very, very, very vulnerable. Okay? Where's the other one? A backhand splash or forearm, right? So same thing. You take it across over your head. Don't take it across like that. You hit yourself, right? Straight arm over your head, and take this foot away. Pull him slightly off balance. Then you pin him there, right? And then you're using this bone here on this, right? On just this pressure point here. Okay? A backhand slash, same thing. You stop, and then you just go straight into there. We'll make him drop. Right? Unfortunately, we don't have time to run through this with you, but like I said, you get the videotape, and your instructor will show you through the classes of all these techniques, right? Okay. For the low slash, same thing. You must face the point of contact where you make contact here, right? Then you take this across. Now watch this leg. Then right? Or you could, you could make a hit first, right? Then you do this, right? All depends on what you feel like at that time. All right? Now we're going to run through some generally speaking, that anybody reaching out to you, you should take it as a punch. So don't let him grab you first, because once he got you on your shirt, you're going to put you off balance. It's very hard for you to counter or react if you off balance, right? So you take, see somebody reaching out, you take that, right? You take that as a strike. So you push this back out, chins out, right? The tempo is very vulnerable. The tempo, you can't knock somebody out with 40 pound, 30 pound of force. So the tempo, and there's a pressure point in here that you could knock somebody out 10 pound of force. So it doesn't matter how big the person is, those points still work for him, right? In fact, the more muscle the person has, the more vulnerable are the pressure points, because the pressure points are more exposed. So you got there, and then maybe you got here, not on the neck, it's just on the stem of the scalp here. Then you can use elbow, and you can use, see, if you're going to hit the body, don't hit the chest, because there's muscle protecting the chest, and also the ribs are much thicker. So you hit the floating rib, right? Those floating ribs, you can crack them 20 pounds, 30 pounds before, because there's nothing supporting the floating ribs here on the side here, right? So you're going to hit the floating rib, and then maybe if you are quite strong, you put a lock like that. You put him off balance. It's very hard for him to get out. All right? For rank punch, right? See, I'm talking about some defense that you're teaching it to, later on you're teaching it to people that hasn't got Wing Chun trainings. So it's very hard for you to teach them to throw a straight punch. So for round punch, you could, right? So you could teach them to use a back fist, right? And then straight away, right? So you go from here, right? Okay? Or come back with the elbow, right? And or for a bear hug first. Now, see, it all depends on reflexes. See, if he grab me and pull me off balance, then it's very hard for me to do anything, right? But I still got one thing to do. What I do is, let's get over let's face, not the mirror, but so you grab me, you put me on balance, right? Then I push back, so I got my balance back. Then I can get out. So you just keep going back until you get your balance back, because he's pulling you. If you are balanced, you cannot do anything, right? Or you could do this, right? If you have balance, bang, right? Right? Then you can, or finger jab, or then you can get out. So you take up your leg, right? You pick up your leg and go for the ground. So you got this release, you turn, and remember, the palm is the strongest part, the toughest part of your body. So you can knock the guy out, no matter how big he is, you can knock that guy out, right? I'm going to show you a pressure point that I hope that you keep it in this family, right? Because it's very, very dynamic, and if you let the assailant or the baddies know, then it can be used very, very, can be very devastating, right? So there's a pressure point that doesn't matter how big they are, how strong they are, you can put them on their knee. Just then you put him on the knee. Then, see? Right? So, right. Then, right? So once I got it here, now it's not, doesn't matter how big he is, if I don't want him to get out, right? Okay. So it's very simple, but it's very devastating, right? We would only release this, don't because it's too devastating that you give it to everybody. So it's on the end of the nail, just any nail, any nail. So you just apply.
Guys, I'm trying to get a close-up of the hand.
You stand in this stand up, because it will be so painful that he doesn't even want to pull away. So he will be there. So any nail, right? So you using the index finger to steady it up, and then you back. Right? One touch, the person will be on the knee. So you come in. See, doesn't matter what technique you use. If the person knows you're going to use it, it's very hard to apply. So you keep that for yourself, right? And don't even tell your, I don't know, but probably you tell your parents, but don't tell anybody or the neighbors or anything, because it's very devastating, right? So,
Can you just do that technique one time straight through?
one time. Okay. So you either get him. So once the finger is sticking out, then you can use it. Right? So you do that. Then the finger is sticking out. Then you can apply that. See what I mean?
Yeah.
You can apply that. Right? So this arm is just to steady his arm. But even just do that, he would not like to pull away because the pain that he got in there will stop him thinking. It stop him to react normally. So you can actually put him down on a restraint, right? And also, I want to show you, see, because when we practice finger jabs, and it's dynamic, but normal people cannot do that. So instead of using a finger jab, you just use a flick. So it's just as effective, right? So if somebody grabs your arm, and you just flick, right? So, and then just flick, then you can sort of temporarily blind this person, and you can, get a lot of advantage from there. All right. Now, the risk of those grips is that some of you have taken private lesson from me, I always, that's good, secret technique, so that, okay, so whenever you step back, always put your weight on the back foot, right? So from here, so you can take, or you can go straight into counter attack, all right? So, is anyone that suggests any attack that I could show you how to get out? Or you want to ask anything? Otherwise, we wrap up this.
Yep, flexible weapon, like a chain or something.
A chain?
Yeah, a flexible weapon of some sort.
Yeah. 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 With the weapons, right? I know that people have devious minds. They have think of all different devious ways. Yeah, I have seen people that actually put a gear and a chain in a paper bag. So all you see is the paper bag. You don't know what it is. So it comes in and boom, yeah, and then the gear actually come out of the paper bag like a snake attacking, right? So with the chain, you just have to wrap your arm around, right? I hope that it's not other thing that they attach to the chain. So can you see what I mean? That you have to try to see, but a lot of times that if you have a belt, then the belt can be a very good weapon that you can use it to defend yourself. Or just take your shoes off and you put your hand in the shoes. Then it can be a very effective protection for your arm, right? Okay? Yeah?
Yes, another
Sure.
thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people seem to come and lunge in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you only have to deal with one arm. If some people lunge, right? You only have to deal with one arm. So don't try to deal with two arms. Then he's gonna give you a headbutt or something that's gonna bowl you over.
Either one.
Either one doesn't matter, right? Right? So either one doesn't matter. You only have to deal with one arm. And all right, I can show you another one that if something grab hold to you with two arms, right? In fact, it's easier to get out when somebody get hold of your two arms because most people can only think of one thing at a time. Isn't it right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Right? So it's easier to get out. So all you have to do is deal with the first one, then you'll get out, right? So you don't have to deal with two arms, keep struggling, but so you just deal with the first one, then you get out, right? Right. Same thing if somebody grab, this way, right? So with this way, that you get one arm out first, right? So use a bit of psychology. That, now, say if I do this, right? You get out of the car, right? So I actually grab my hand, right? So I got out because it's just a surprise. Same thing with this way, right? Right. So you just get out by using a different movement. All right? You just grab your hand. Right? Then you can get out from there. Right? Same thing in here. Right? Yeah. Okay.
What about those people that get you in headlock? Oh, you're
Yeah. Okay. Now, so on the headlock, see my arms are here. So this movement come up, the shock will come straight up to his brain. He say, all right, please let go. Right? Because you got to use common sense and also don't panic. And your balance is the most important thing. Your balance. If you don't have the balance, you will not have any way to see. You can do both ways, right? Either way. but unfortunately, Jesse hasn't got hair. So you go to the eye, right? You go to the eye and then the throat, right? So you pull back and then the throat. It's very effective. But you do that. You got to be much taller than the person. So I think going underneath, or you make him slightly off balance, then you can get out. All right? Okay? So how about we wrap this session off, and I just tap myself, and then we go into the 5 stage of comeback. We're going to the genuine Wing Chun thing, right? Okay. Firstly, the reason I do this was I want to make sure that we don't give up. If you give up, that's the end. So some of you approached me about what you have done with somebody hold the gun, right? So there's even way of holding the gun or because how far away from you, right? If the person is out there, is holding a gun out there, you have got this chance.
You can't get out.
Right?
I shouldn't.
Maybe here, yes, then you might be able to do something, right? Because I know it's secret weapon, secret. Right? So, but in the old guard, they hold the gun, they point the gun. And it's very hard for you to do it from them or dislodge. But in the new one, they're sticking out these, right? So if you have an arm length, then you could get a very good chance, right? So you could, because you could block it away, and then you could, probably 70-30 chance, 70 to him, 30 to me. But so if somebody sticks the gun here, right, then you might get a chance because it's touching you, and then you know that if he's going to shoot you right there. So if you swing your arm only 0.1 of a second, you swing your arm. So if he's going to shoot you, it takes him about 0.15 of a second. So you've got 0.05 of a second advantage. Right? So, but if he's away from you, then it's very hard for you to do anything. Like you don't know where he is. Right? Right? But you get a very good chance if he's just an arm length from you. Right? So even though he's pointing to your head, you would have a probably 90-10 chance, 90 to me, or even probably less. But you still have a chance, right? It's a probability. But see, for a person to decide something and then to act at least about 0.25 of a second, right? So he's saying, I'm going to shoot him from here to there, about 0.25, and then it takes a little bit for him to pull his trigger. So you got 0.3 of a second. So you can act within that range, right? Within that time span, right? So, but there's no chance if he's out there and you are out here. There's no chance for you, right? Because no matter what you do, he just, follow you, right? Okay. So we want to get on with the 5 stages of combat. Firstly, that everybody in the Wing Chun, you realize that we always put the arm in the center. The reason you put your arm in the center is that you eliminate anything that comes in the center. So you force the person going outside of you. So he takes a longer path. We take a shorter path, right? And also we want to use 2 arms at the same time. And we don't fight force with force, right? So if you put your arm in the center, and also we stand on a neutral stance, right? When we stand on a neutral stance, we have a hidden weapon that nobody realized that we have. Is that, right? See, if he come any closer, I could kick him because I'm kick with this leg. I don't kick with this one, right? So if somebody just come in and jab, you can just kick, and then you can, get advantage, right? But let me show you the fighting strategy, right? See, I don't know when you watch boxing or watch people fight. I don't know whether you take notice that if he throws a punch, right? If I block cross arm, right? Straight away I eliminate this arm because I cannot reach him. There's no way I can reach him on this arm, right? So if I don't kick him with this leg, virtually, I'm in a very bad position, right? Because straight away I got to deal with this one, right? But if you have a good front kick, right, then you put pressure back on him, right? That's all right. So that's why if you block cross arm, that means left arm against left arm. You got to kick. Otherwise you're in a very bad position. Or you got to get away. There. See? If he's gonna hit me again with that arm, he's going to come inside, right? So things like that is very important because you know when you have disadvantage, when you have advantage, right? And also if you fight with somebody face to face in here, right? So that means really very little you can do because you got to deal with two arms at the same time. So that's why I teach you to say he throws a punch, right? So I'm going on the blind side, right? From the blind side, I don't need to deal with this one because it would never reach me. I don't need to deal with this one. So I have one arm controlling two arms. So it's not because I'm stronger than this person or because, it's just a system I'm using that is more superior. So you have to go to the blind side. So that's why we teach you a lot of rotations and a lot of things that, but if a person throws a round punch, you cannot go outside of his round punch because he won't let you. So you must stop. So that's why you have sort of a two-stage techniques, right? So he throws a round punch, right? So you punch, then you come around, right? So you put pressure back on this person first. So you're using two arms at the same time, you block and punch at the same time. You're putting pressure back on him. Then you move to the blind side. So basically, that's what you do. And in the system, you know that we do Qi Sao. The Qi Sao is to develop your contact reflexes, right? So you develop your contact reflexes that at the point of contact, you know exactly where the person balance and what distance is away from you, where's the target, and also how the energy is going, so you can use his force to your advantage. So that's why you do, contact reflexes, right? But if I enter, I would not just go in and strike. What I would do is I use an entry technique, right? So I use this leg as a shield, so I stop the front kick coming in, so that I have to divert my movement to defend the front kick. And then, right? So same thing, go on to the right side. So you only have to deal with one arm, unless he's stupid enough to swing around because it's really, that spinning back fist is really useless because it takes so long. It's from here to there to come around to hit you. If you get hit one of those, you shouldn't be doing any martial art because you just fly up. You get a certificate for blindness and nobody will get you. Right? Because it takes so long, right? It takes at least 8 feet for that fish to come to you. You just measure it out. Right? See that circle? At least 8 feet. 5 coming home, right? So if you in this time, then you cannot do anything. In this time, you cannot put up your arm to stop that. You must be blind, right? So all you do is go to the blind side, then you have a lot of opening, right? A lot of openings, right? So you stop that. Right? That is the strategy. All right. So you have an entry technique, but before you go in, you have to know where you put your feet. For cross leg, you want to put your feet inside of this stance, right? Because if you put your feet outside, it can turn you around. That is stupid because you cannot retain your body. You turn your back, you cannot retain your body. So you must, right, in here. So you still, the elbow is the most important thing. So before contact, you watch the elbow, and for a straight punch, right, you can see, because a straight punch will travel the elbow will travel 2.5 times slower than the fist. It's further away from your eye, and then you can see. Right? You can see. Right? I mean, if you watch the fist, you're going to be in trouble, right? because it's too close to your eye. And also, it's very deceiving, right? And also, I teach you to block close to the elbow anyway. Right? So for a round punch, the elbow will move before the fist. And also the elbow travel at least 4 times slower than the fist. So you can see from here, right? Because this is the center, this is the inside circumference, outside circumference. All right? So you always watch the elbow. With the kicks, you watch the knees. Right? So what I want to do now is to give you some techniques, some drills that you can improve your reflexes and also your technique. Right? So what I do is on a neutral side stance. Right? So a person come in, and I want you to use this leg, right? Because your arm is pointing the same direction as your foot, this foot, right? So you can just transfer your weight a little bit, then you can kick with that leg, then you can move in, right? So the technique is from here, right? Kick and move in, right? Transfer your weight, kick and move in. See, you don't need to come right across. Just pass in the middle, then you already transfer your weight here. So if the punch come outside, you block this way, kick and move in. This punch come inside of your hand, push this way and move in, right? So let's try this one. basketball defenders, or even football defenders, they always mark person on the neutral stance, right? If you mark something on the front stance, he's going to pass you on the blind side, and you already commit. So it's better from here. So if he edging in, that's why you can use this, right? And also, I'm going to show you a side step that on a neutral stance, right? So if a person, say he comes in, do a kick, right? You do a side step, right? So you let the force pass you, right? Okay? So you go. Push that thing away. Side step. If you're on the front stance, if I'm on the front stance, because sometimes, when things happen, you just happen to be on the front stance, you still can apply the side step. Right? That's move strong, and then you move in. Right? So when you move in, you always bring your foot back, because when you kick, you're going to bring your foot back and pull up your leg, right? So that you can use the thrust. Right? But if you kick like that, there's not much. Or if you kick it from here, there's not much thrust. So it's better for you, right, to pull your leg back. Right? So how about we do this one? From here, right, you're on the front stance. We do a side, right? Put your weight on the back foot. Move in and use the kick to enter. Right? So from here, across, kick, right? This side, same thing, right? Kick, right? Okay? So when you step across, open up this leg, and one other thing is very important, right? When you're on a one-leg stand, you take a look down here, right? If your knee is one side or the other side of your foot, then you better book an appointment with Dr. Yari, because you've done to damage your knee.
I'm Dr. Young,
Because that's where you do damage to your knee. This must be on a column. Do you understand? When you're on a one-leg stand, that must be in a column. Right? So when you step across, right? And then you kick. Right? That is very important. That's why a lot of people, when they kick, they lost balance or they cannot balance because their knees like that when they kick, and then they have to come straight down straight away. They don't have control and balance. So you must be not this way, not this way. You either hurt your knee or hurt your ankle if you do it either way. Okay? So how about we practice, right? From here, right? When you come back, have a look at here, then the kick, then you move up. All right? And also make sure you get on top of that leg. Then you don't have to worry about guessing which way you're going to go, right? You get on top of that leg. So that's why you got to get your arm in the center. This way, right? So, yeah, right. So from here, so what you do is, right, because then you put into your knee and you break this bone, right? You break this bone underneath, from underneath here. So you stop it and then put it into your knee. The hardest part of your body is your palm. So you use the palm, absorb some power, and then you pour in, right? Now, so you can apply this, same technique, same strength, but you cannot work because if you go over here, then then you lose the leg. So you go very close to the knee, right? See that? Sorry. You go very close to the knee. So you control the balance, right? So if you, say if somebody's standing on one leg, right? Standing on one leg, right? Now I'm just using one finger. You're standing on one leg. Right? I already control his balance because that's where the balance is, on the knee. Right? So if you block this peg, right? So you control it. Right? So you go underneath and then you can follow through. So it's like somebody throw a ball at you. You want to catch the ball, you don't go push a lot of force. Then the ball will bounce twice as hard, twice as far. Right? So you want to control, stop and control. Then you can counter, right? It's very simple. You just, everything you do, you must look at it. You must face upon a contact, right? So you balance on your back foot. Have a look at this every time. Every time you use one leg, you must look at this, right? So you have perfect balance, then you can move in too. Alright? Alright? High kick. Right? Right? You can take a step. Right? You can just push it down, or you could. Right? Right? Do a down out. See, double last out. This is good. Or, right? But you must get on top of that leg, right? If that leg get on top of your arm, then you're in trouble. So you must get on top of that leg. Okay. So same thing you use. See, if you start on the front stance, if I start on the front stance, the same thing, you still have to use the side step. Just take this approach. Okay. Alright. So from here, right, then you move up. Okay. So you can use the gam sao or a double gam sao. Right? It's like in the cylinder form, except you take a side step. Right? So when you take a side step, you can come back a bit more because you want the distance, and so you get better balance. Alright? For the opponent, right? Similarly, if you deal with somebody on the front stance, right, it becomes a target, right? So you can attack that. I'm going to show you how to defend against a low kick. Right? Virtually, it's very little you can do because if you bring your arm down, you're going to get hit on the top. So what you do is say, yeah. So you just pick up the leg, right? And then you move back, because you pick up the leg, you're going to move balance back here, right? Right? So you more or less absorb, right? Absorb maybe 50% of the power. So on this side, it's pretty tough. But when you're standing there, because you're standing there, there's nowhere to go when they hit you. And also up here, you have the meridian going down here, right? So up here is very, very sensitive. So you got to move, you got to move away from there using this part to stop. Then you can, right? So you could, right? Okay. So when you do training, you do a lot of knee lifts. Yeah. So you do. So from here, you do right. So So knee lift to the elbow. Right? Right. So you strengthen this muscle here, and because you're coming back anyway, so that's fine. Right? There's very little you can do if somebody hit you low. You just have to pick it up. Right? Another way that you can deal is if it's a low kick, right? And then you can time it. So you go around that kick. Right? So from here, right? You time it and then you go around. So you practice this. Yeah, you practice this movement. So you just have to very good just judge or you time that, right? But if you happen to be on this side, if he hits this way, then you just step away. Right? You step away because I don't like if you block, I can block this, right? But I can block with my leg, but I won't because it's gonna hurt you, it's gonna hurt me. So I don't spend 40 years doing kung fu to get hurt. So I'm gonna step away, right? And then I'm gonna hit him when he goes down, right? So you go from here, right? So you time that kick. You time the kick, make it past you. Then you hit it because he could come back and hit you, right? Then because you already prepared to kick, the leg is not there, then you kick up, you push him off balance, you notify that, that kick coming back. All right? So what you do is, you practice, right? You shift the distance. Now, you shift the distance, right? So you just lift up, and then, or you shift the distance, and then you just kick the leg for 10% discount. So you pay for the whole five. So you can book in some private lessons. Right? That's very important to train up the principle and the system, so you understand. Right? There's no point in doing something you don't understand. Right? And secondly, because we marked up this seminar, so that's why the last 3 days I've been spending a lot of time producing these 2 video games. One is for level 8 and under, one is for level 8 and above, right? We only allow by one if you're under level 8 anyway. So the whole system will be in there. It's very good, reference tape. And it's $75 for one tape. If you don't buy it now, you buy it later after 3 weeks, and we'll be back to normal price, $125. You buy it from the instructor, right? So the person to see is today is Sunny. After that, you see your instructor. So could you see him and put your name down and make some arrangements and so on, and we'll educate you or one way or the other.
If you can't get to me now, for the next break, whoever didn't get to me just
Yeah, oh, well, actually, 4 o'clock, because the Sunday is taking me to the airport. Who's going to be? Oh, yeah. So could you see her? Okay. All right. Now, okay. So you want to say? Yeah. So how about we want to ask some questions about? How about we just ask questions about the late cases, Do you have any questions to ask, or you want me to ask you? Why you do this? Now, when you move back, right? You can move back, shifting away and move back, right? So it's the kick, right? Yeah. Right. Okay. Or if it's on this side, right? So you can shift, right? Then you time it, right? important that because the worst thing you can do is you bring your arm down and they're going to hit you. Right? The worst thing you can do. That is very bad situation. There's no respect. That's very, very bad. The whole idea of the low kick is to tell you to bring your arm down, then you're going to get hit on the leg. Right? So you have to use your leg to defend your leg. All right? Yeah. Same thing. If you do this technique, you don't even have to worry about whether it's low high because when he's on one leg, he can't move forward, right? So if you do a low high, right? So what? He can kick because I'm not in the range, right? But if I were going to block, right? So I don't have to touch that knee, then I already stop that. So remember that in the arm system, we go for the elbow, right? So if you're here, and then you just touch the knee, and then you already eliminate. But if you can move away, that's better, right? So you go from here. Then, once he lands, he has to find where you are, and you go just a slight advantage over here. All right. So how about if we practice this?
What about, say if you're in a situation where there's a lot of people around, say you're in a pistol and you don't have much room.
Oh.
Same thing, would you come into that knee, stop it first? Or?
Well, okay. All depends on how high is the knee, because I don't like bringing your arm down to trying to find the knee, because the reason that he does that, a low kick, is not because he wants to kick you. He wants to bring your arm down so that he can hit you, right? So if you go down there, and this punch is going to go right on top of your head, right? So the way to do it is you push and then you come back. So you get away from that, right? But it's not very good technique if you have to use your arm to block a low kick. It's not a very good technique. You should. See, the worst come to worst, right? But we're going to be crashing, right? So you go from here, right? I got charge in. You won't do any harm to you, right? But you just use this force against, you're just pushing him off. Right? You go for the knee, you charge into it. Right? You go for the knee, you charge. So using the entry technique. Okay. So how about we try this one? and then go back in again. That would be the best, right? Otherwise, you could do this, right? Right? Then, do a high bóng sáu, right? And then you are here. So remember, you're going to face the point of contact, right? So more or less, you follow his front foot. Right? Right? Follow his front foot. Okay? If his leg's slower, then you can stop it. Or if it's faster, then you just block it. All right? Right? So you got from here, you follow his front foot, you step over there, you step over here, and then you face the corner contact, then his back is here. Right? Okay? Another way, right, is to push. The trouble is with this one, because if you go in too deep, then you're going to be in trouble because you could hook around. So it's better to use the block. Right? Right? You use the block. Right? Okay. So you got from here, right? Use the block, face the corner contact. Because you've got to block the knee downward. No good blocking here. Because you're going to hook around you. All right? So we try this.